Good day, everyone. Welcome to Miss Reyes class. Hi, my dear students. Are you excited about this fun learning session? Make sure you have the following before we start: your reference book, your notebook, your pen, and of course, your teachable mind. So, we're going to talk about money and inflation. So, sino nga ba ang hindi interested about this topic, especially money, right? But before we go deeper on our topic for today, we're going to use a little bit of our imagination. So, for example, since before ka nag-start ng araw mo, nagutom ka, and then walang available na breakfast, so anong gagawin mo? Naisip mong bumili ng bread. Okay. So, pwedeng bumili ka ng bread sa grocery store or sa bakery or sa convenience store na malapit sa'yo. And while looking up onto the prices, nakita mo that suddenly the price become 2 billion pesos. Unbelievable, right? So, ano bang meron dyan sa tinapay na yan? May ginto ba yan? Bakit ganyan kamahal? So, it may be unbelievable for us kasi, syempre, isipin mo parang kahapon lang 30 pesos, isang ano na yun, no? Isang pack na yun ng loaf bread. Pero bakit ngayon, isang piraso lang, 2 billion na? Anong meron dito sa tinapay na to? Okay, so, it may be unbelievable or not real for us, but it could be real, especially for a country that is suffering hyperinflation. So, ano nga ba tong si hyperinflation or inflation na tinatawag po natin? Ito yung mga pag-aaralan natin for today's discussion. So, we're going to talk about inflation. Inflation generally used to mean any sustained or continuing increase in prices. So, kailangan nyo lang tandaan, when we talk about inflation, we're talking about prices that is increasing continuously. Okay, tuloy-tuloy yan na tumataas. So, wait lang. In an inflation po kasi, it is just not a monopoly dito sa Philippines. So, marami pa po tayong mga kasama. Okay? Kasi it is a universal experience of all countries. Hindi lang yung mga mahihirap na bansang nakakaranas ng inflation. Even yung mga developed countries na, they're also suffering from inflation. So, the difference lies only on the magnitude of the price increases countries suffer from. So, ibig sabihin natin dito, may mga countries na mas grabe yung inflation or mas mataas yung inflation rate nila comparing to different countries. So, meron tayo dito, okay, kwento about inflation. Okay, kasi, as dun sa kwento natin kanina, di ba, on our imagination. Okay, meron din na nangyari sa isang country na talagang nakaranas sila ng gigantic proportion of inflation. This is Germany during the early 1920s. Gaano ba ka-drastic yung change na nangyari dito? So, prices rose so rapidly that they began to lose all meaning. Para bang wala nang meaning lahat ng pera na meron sila right now because of inflation. Bakit? Kasi the postage stamps, alam niyo yon yung sa every time magta-travel tayo, 'di ba? Meron tayong mga postage stamps. Originally sell for few pennies only, but during this time, they were selling for billions. So parang yung kwento ko about those loaf bread, 'di ba? Ganun yung nangyari sa postage stamps na nabebenta lang naman for pennies pero naging billions na siya, no? And hindi lang yon. So, yung mga workers at this time na sumasahod sila ng fixed income, kailangan kapag sumasahod po sila or nare-receive nila yung paycheck nila, they should immediately rush for the store since prices were changed each day. Yan. Hindi mo alam kung magkano na yung magiging presyo ng mga gulay at the coming days kasi sobrang taas or drastic yung pagtaas ng presyo, no? So, kailangan, pagka sahod mo, kailangan punta ka agad sa grocery store at bilhin mo yung mga kailangan mo kasi yung value of money mo Ngayon, puwedeng bukas mas maliit na yung value nun or yung buying power niya mas weak na kapagka bibili ka pa or hindi mo pa siya ibibili ngayon, okey? So yung, um, value of money today is greater than tomorrow because of inflation. Okay? So another is that running a business under this condition was almost impossible. So syempre hindi mo kasi alam, there's no fixed prices of everything. Syempre ang business may mga raw materials na ginagamit yan. So kailangan maisip natin mabuti if kakayanin ba ng business natin if we're going to continue at this time. And also yung mga trade was unthinkable. So isipin mo, taas-taas ng presyo dito tapos on the other countries hindi ganun kataas. So pwedeng malulugi ka kapag you involve yourself in a trade. Ayan. So marami talagang naging problem during this time. Also, the savings of the rich and the poor were wiped out by the destruction of the value of money. So, ibig pong sabihin na to, at this time, nung nagkaroon ng hyperinflation sa Germany, syempre yung value of money mo parang wala na, no? Kahit na gano'n pa karami yung pera mo, kung yung pera mo na yun, like for example, yung billions mo, ang mabibili lang niya is a post stamps, di ba? Ano pa ang value ng pera mo? Compared sa walang pera, parang na-wipe out lahat ng value ng pera because of hyperinflation. So during yung mga ganitong klaseng pangyayari, the economic activity, okay, are destroyed by its currency itself. Okay? And yung economic activity, of course, is distorted for everyone who tries to conduct their businesses to reap the most advantage from the inflation. Marami talagang nagiging effect. Okay? Pwedeng it may, okay, or it may break or make a country. So, in an inflation, hindi naman lang po laging negative. So, dalawa, there's always two sides of the coin. Meron tayong undesirability of inflation and also gainers of inflation. But the first one that we're going to talk about for today is the undesirability of inflation. Ayan. So, economic plans and policies are intended to improve the standards of living of all people. So, it means, among other things, that the people should be able to buy more, give the income that they have. It means that people should be able to buy better quality food, live in better houses, and send their children to school. So, among other things. Inflation, however, negates the economic objectivity of improving the quality of life of the people. So, because of inflation, okay, bumababa yung quality of life po natin as part of the undesirability of inflation. Bakit? Siyempre tumataas yung presyo, yung standard way of living po natin, yung buying power po ng pera natin lumiliit. So, sabi ko nga sa inyo, 'di ba, imagine before the transportation, 2 pesos lang, 'di ba? Pwede mo nang pambayad sa jeep papuntang bayan, ganyan. If you're in a barangay na medyo malayo sa bayan. So, 2 pesos lang parang makakarating ka na into another place. But because of inflation, ngayon, di ba, nasa 20 pesos na yung kailangan mong ibayad para makapunta into another place. So, the quality of life, okay, is negates because of inflation. Okay? Marami yung mga naaapektuhan because of this. Pero, may mga main, okay, people na talagang nakakaranas ng um, negative impact of inflation. And number one of this, okay, or the first people na nakakaranas or affected by inflation are people with fixed incomes, okay, or severely affected during the inflation because, okay, increase in prices, people who belong to this group would lose out because the income they receive now would be able to buy less than before. So, ibig pong sabihin, isipin niyo, di ba, you just have a fixed income of 10,000 pesos. So, yung 10,000 pesos mo, ngayon, okay, dahil fix yan at wala ka namang ibang income na pinagkukuhanan, sana yung 10,000, mas marami pa sana siyang mabibili kung hindi walang inflation or continuing increase in prices. So, yung buying power ng 10,000 pesos mo, since you are just earning for a fixed income, okay, lumiliit po yan. Lumiliit yung, hindi man lumiliit yung amount na natatanggap mo, lumiliit yung buying power niya because of the increasing of prices. Yung mga nabibili mo noon, like for example, kapag bili ka pa ng dessert, 'di ba? Kapag kumakain ka meron pang dessert. Ngayon hindi na kasi yung pera mo sapat-sapat na lang para sa mga needs ng family. Okay? Next natin, na part of undesirability of inflation are the pensioners from SSS or GSIS. So, bakit? Because it would result in a net loss to the pensioner. So, unless the benefits received by the pensioner are adjusted into the inflation rate, the pensioner would suffer of a net loss. Kaya maraming mga pensioners ang nag-request ng pagkakaroon ng adjustment sana dun sa mga tatanggap nila. Okay? Kasi, saan ba galing yung pensions po nila? So, yung pensions po nila, yan po yung amount of money na pinagtrabahuhan din po nila noon. Tinatabi po nila yung certain amount of money po nila, okay, using the SSS or GSIS system. Tapos, para meron silang ma-rip off kapag tanda po nila. But the problem is, because of inflation, yung pera na natatanggap nila na fixed din, tulad ni nung mga may fixed income, okay, ay kulang na para sa mga needs po nila since given na yung mga pensioners po natin are non-working. So, ang inaasahan lang po nila at this time ay yung pera na natatanggap nila through their pension. So, kung hindi yun ina-adjust based on the inflation, nahihirapan din sila on how are they going to survive. Okay? So, next natin are the creditors. Yung mga creditors na tinatawag po natin, of course, yung mga nag-lend ng pera, okay, lose out during inflation. The reason they lose is because the fixed amount of principal and interest they lent out would now be valued less. So, isipin mo the percent rate ng iyong or interest rate ng iyong pinautang ay 12% lang. So nagpautang ka ngayon. Okay, 12% yung interest rate niya, but the inflation rate is 20%, ganun kataas, no? So yung net loss mo is 8%. So bakit ka ba nagpapautang ngayon? Para yung pera mo sana madagdagan siya, 'di ba? Yun naman ang ano ng mga creditors. Bakit sila nagpapautang ngayon kasi gusto nila na yung pera nila madadagdagan. Okay? Pero because of inflation rate, kapag masyadong mataas yung inflation rate or meron tayong hyperinflation na tinatawag, yung pera mo instead na nadagdagan, okay, bumaba pa yung value because of the inflation. So, kailangan is tingnan talaga natin mabuti before tayo mag-lend out ng money. So, tingnan natin yung inflation rate and percent rate para hindi tayo magkaroon ng net loss. So, they are one of those who has undesirable experience or sufferings during the inflation. So, marami pang reason why the economic welfare of people deteriorates during the inflation. Okay? Lalo yung depreciation of the purchasing power of peso. Siyempre, kapag meron tayong inflation na tinatawag, yung peso, okay, yung value of peso is bumababa. Yung mga nabibili po natin or yung kaya lang po nating bilhin, okay, at this moment, hindi natin alam if kaya pa nating bilhin sa susunod na mga araw. If the purchasing power of peso depreciates, people would be able to buy less. Gusto ba natin yon that we are not able to buy, 'di ba? More pa sana. Syempre, dahil gusto natin na magkaroon ng better standard quality of living, gusto po natin na yung pera natin ay mas mataas sana yung kanyang buying power. So, just as there are losers in inflationary situation, there are also gainers. So, however, taking into account the numbers of those who lose out during the inflation, there are significantly more people who would register net loss rather than net gains. Pero meron pa rin, no? Meron pa rin mga tao. Among the gainers during the inflation are the following. First are the flexible income or yung mga people that has flexible income. So, bakit? Kasi for example, if the business would gain more if the prices or commodities they produce and sell increases, so long as there is demand for their product, this would be sold. So, sa mga ibang businesses na mataas talaga yung demand ng kanilang produkto, kahit na anong taas ng presyo, bibili at bibili pa rin yung mga tao, right? So, because of that, they have flexible income. Hindi sila fixed income lang na kung ano lang yung yung tinatanggap nila ngayon, yun pa rin tatanggapin nila bukas. So, because of the businesses that they have na talagang um, may demand talaga, okay, para sa mga tao na kahit sobrang taas pa ng presyo niyan ay bibili pa rin sila, then, nakakapag-adjust po itong mga tao na to onto the inflation na tinatawag po natin. So, the businesses are one of the gainers of inflation if their business are always in demand or laging gusto ng tao kahit ano man ang presyo po nila. So, the second group that are gainers during the inflation are the speculators. So, sino-sino ba itong mga speculators natin? These are the receptive and lucky individuals who are able to buy goods at cheaper prices and then sell later at higher prices because of inflation. So, yung mga speculators natin, tinatawag po natin mga tao na nag-speculate sila. Okay? They use their knowledge to be able to um, ano ba, hinuhulaan nila, ganyan. Kung ano-ano yung mga commodities that are selling for a low price right now but will certainly go up yung mga prices nila, okay, in the near future because of inflation. So, among the goods that are traded in this case, in this category would be groceries, appliances, jewelries, and the like. So, yan. Bumibili sila right now or nag-hoard sila. For example, ng mga gamit na to, hindi mindset of gusto po nila na ibenta ito later on a higher price. Ayan. So, they gain for because of inflation. Next is debtors. Ayan. Yung mga umuutang naman during the inflation has a gain on this inflation. So, bakit? So, unless there is an automatic adjustment for inflation, debtors usually gain the value of the money they borrowed before would now more value. So, for example natin, someone borrows 10,000 pesos for a TV, ayan, appliances, okay? Especially TV, ganyan. So, hiniram niya yung TV or humiram siya, okay, ng, um, ng 10,000 pesos amount of money, okay, to buy for a TV or yung TV mismo yung hiniram, okay, and 10,000 pesos yung kanyang kailangan na bayaran. But eventually because of inflation, the, parang ilang oras lang, 'di ba? Na agad, nag-appreciate na agad yung presyo ng TV, naging 30,000 agad siya. So sino ang nanalo dito, 'di ba? So of course the debtors, yung sila yung nag-gain. Other than yung mga creditors po nila. So other gainers would be the people who built their houses in the 80s through housing loans with the SSS or GSIS. Their houses and house and lots are worth much now than before. Okay? So, for example, yung sinasabi naman natin dito, yung mga tao na bumili, okay, ng bahay, ganyan, di ba? On the late 80s, tas ngayon yung prices ng kanilang bahay ay grabe na yung kanilang nilaki because of inflation. So, that would be all for today's discussion. So, a little bit of summary dun sa napag-aralan natin ngayon. We have discussed regarding inflation. Okay, it is the continuing price increases, and we also talk about the undesirability of inflation. Okay? Sino-sino yung mga nagkakaroon ng undesirability or suffer undesirability inflation? These are the people with fixed incomes, people with yung mga pensioners po natin, creditors, okay? And for the gainers naman, we have yung flexible incomes or those with businesses, and gainers also are the speculators, and lastly are the debtors. Okay, so for your sit work for today, you need to get a whole sheet of paper and answer the following question on your worksheet on the next page, and take a photo of your answers and upload it as your evidence. So this is the question for you. Question number one: why does economic welfare deteriorate during the inflation? And question number two yan, who are the gainers of inflation? So I hope na masasagot niya yan since na-discuss naman natin siya. If you have any questions for our lesson for today, feel free po to message me or comment down on the comment section. So thank you for listening for today's discussion. Meron pa tayong mga discussions on the next video about inflation. So if you want to learn more, consider subscribing on our channel. Thank you so much everyone, and God bless.